Welcome to the Functional Medicine Radio Show with your host, Dr. Carri Drzyzga, known internationally as the Functional Medicine Doc. Dr. Carri is committed to helping patients find the root cause of their health problems and fixing the cause with natural treatments so they can feel normal again. Dr. Carri is the founder of Functional Medicine Ontario and is the author of the hit book, Reclaim Your Energy and Feel Normal Again. Please welcome your host, Dr. Carri Drzyzga.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Functional Medicine Radio Show, the only internet radio show dedicated to giving you real solutions to improve your health. Not only are they real solutions, but they're natural solutions as well. Because as you know, the one and only true wealth you have is your health. I'm your host, Dr. Carri Drzyzga, the Functional Medicine Doc, and I'm committed to helping you find the root cause of your health problem, fix the cause with natural treatments so you can feel normal again and live your life to the fullest. Just a quick bit of housekeeping before I introduce today's special guest. I am happy to announce that I am now working on my next book. The title is Reclaim Your Energy and Feel Normal Again for Men. I've discovered 14 root causes of fatigue. I like to call them the fatigue factors. And in this book, I'll explain 8 of the 14 and how they specifically relate to men. And of course, I'll include my own personal fatigue story along with 4 or 5 other fatigue stories from real patient cases from my private practice at Functional Medicine Ontario. This book should be ready later this year. That's it for our housekeeping, so let's get started. I'm so very excited about this week's show because my special guest is Brandon Epstein. Let me tell you a little bit about him. Brandon is a health and performance coach as well as the host of Zen Dude Fitness. His mission is to help busy and passionate people live a life of flow, and which entails a life full of energy, where you live every day in a body you love and enjoy the process of building a business you love as well. Brandon's background as a professional fitness model turned holistic biohacker and serial entrepreneur has given him the perfect balance of knowledge and experience to help wonderful people just like you reach your health and performance related goals. Brandon's latest book is what we're going to talk about today. It just came out and it's called Zen Dude Fitness, a simple and fun guide to looking great naked, finding inner peace, and living the good life. Brandon, thank you so much for being my special guest today on this episode of the Functional Medicine Radio Show.
All right, it is an absolute pleasure. Super grateful to have the opportunity to share with your audience some valuable information and to just jam with you a little bit today. It's been too long.
Oh my gosh, Brandon, I think that is like the first time I've ever said naked on my podcast.
Oh, we are getting scandalous on here. This is going to be a fun one for all your listeners who've been listening. You know, we are about to get inappropriate.
Well, a lot of my listeners are women, but it's so funny because I had a brand new patient that came into my office last week. His name is Jay, and we went through his entire first visit. And I was walking him out to the front desk, and he said, "Oh, Dr. Carri, I have one more question for you." And Brandon, he asked me, Dr. Carri, like everything in your book is about women, and on your podcast is about women, and on your blog is like all about women. Like, do you treat men? And I said, yeah, Jay, actually about 25% of my practice is men. And so when I saw that your book was out, and it's all about dudes and guys and men, I thought, I want to have you on my podcast because I need to get more content out there for the guys. So tell us about what Zen Dude Fitness is all about and who this book is for.
Yeah, definitely. So after you just preface that, the book's actually for men and women. I call it Zen Dude Fitness just because it's just the brand that we're promoting right now. And I'm a Zen dude, and Carri, you can be a Zen dude as well. You can call yourself a dudette if you want.
Oh, okay,
but
good.
It's really for anyone who is really just wants to clear out a lot of the BS that's out there in like the fitness marketing space and find out exactly what they can do to look really good, butt naked, and to feel great every day. And that's what I focus on. Like, yes, like we hear all these like key terms being thrown around about like the ways we can improve the performance in this way and that. But like, it really comes down to like, people just want to look good and they want to feel really good every day. And so I really wanted to create this like step-by-step protocol teaching people how to do this. And that's what I've done in this book. It's pretty much my life's work that I put together that I've seen works incredibly well for me and every client I've worked with. And it's taken me a while to get to this point where I'm like, yes, I believe that this is something that anyone could pick up. Like, for example, you'll see like the messaging a lot of times in the book is for younger people, but my parents, just read it before it was released, and they're in their 60s, and they're like, like I did not expect like to be able to resonate with this, but for what, everything you said was something I could actually take action on, and I didn't really need any previous knowledge going into it. And I think that's something that freezes a lot of people, is like they get into hearing about different exercise and nutrition splits, and they're like, oh, I don't know what this key term is. Like, what do I do? Okay, I'm just going to give up. And so I tried to make everything super, super simple and make the reading really fun so you can stick with it and make it all the way through the book.
So it's for men and women, dudes and dudettes of really any age.
Yeah, it is. And, I'm a young guy. I'm 25, and I like to have fun. And so the book is really for someone who doesn't want to take themselves like super serious and doesn't want to like see the process of like losing weight as like something that's stressful, they need to buckle down really hard on, and instead be able to approach it in a way that, is actually joyful. And that's what I focus on with everyone I talk to. And of course, that comes through really fluidly throughout my entire book. It's like, how can we gamify this? How can we make this process of being healthier, feeling better, performing at higher levels? How can we gamify it and make it more fun for you? And that's really what I focus on, throughout every part of this book.
So Brandon, I wanted to first thank you for sending me an advanced copy of your book. And for the listeners out there, it's really awesome. And also I want to thank you because you mentioned me on page 30, and I was kind of shocked about that and honored. So I just want to say thank you for doing that.
Of course. Yeah, I think it's really important to give credit where credit's due. And so I learned something from you and you came to my show, so I had to share it through my book. And you'll probably see like throughout the book, I've had some incredible experts on my own podcast, and each one of them who gave me a gift, I wanted to give them a gift back by mentioning in the book that I don't really know anything. These people taught it to me. I mean, I know it now. It's my knowledge now because they gave it to me, but I wanted to say the origin. Of course, like, everyone learns from somewhere, but I think it's good to point out those people who are teachers in your lives.
Well, Brandon, I really appreciate that. So before we really jump into the meat and potatoes of your book, let's talk about what inspired you to write this book.
Yeah, so my biggest inspiration for this book was like, I created this academy. It's called the Fitness Academy, and I was having people it's 90 days long, and I was having people go through it. Or sorry, it's not. It's 120 days long. So it's a pretty substantial fitness academy people go through. And people are having incredible results, but it was like something that like you had to commit your whole like life to. It was every day, right? And even though it was only like a 15, 20-minute commitment every day, like you had to go all in for like, 4 months of your life to get through this academy. And I wanted to be able to replicate all the results that people were getting and I wanted to be able to do this in like a book where people could take it at their own pace, and they could just have like this, Bible for health and happiness that they could go and they could refer to whenever they want. They could jump around in it, but I wanted to give something physical that people could have instead of having to go through my entire academy. They could just open up this book and get it, of course, for, a very, very small fraction of the price of what I charge for my academy, and they could get the same information. And I think that's your purpose in this world, and it's mine as well. It's like be able to get this valuable information to as many people as possible. And so after seeing the incredible results in my fitness academy, I wanted to just expand. So the book is really just a packaged, really fun, engaging version of what I have in my fitness academy. Does that answer your question?
It does, yeah. And for the listeners out there, I can attest that it is fun and engaging. So Brandon, in the book you talk about the 4 pillars of fitness. So can you briefly talk about them to our listeners? What are your 4 pillars for fitness?
Yeah. So the 4 pillars I like to talk about are spiritual fitness, physical fitness, emotional fitness, and mental fitness. And it's been my experience, I've played around. I think a lot of people who are in the fitness space start with physical training, and then they start to, bang up against the ceiling of like what's possible. And so then you start to explore, what role does my mind have to play in this whole game of like fitness and being healthy. And so you start to explore that a little bit, and you're like, well, I want to be physically fit, and I want to be able to mentally see how I can improve performance, but I also want to be happy. And so you start to, I started to really dive into the emotional aspect of fitness. And then finally, I saw this all-encompassing pillar, which was a spiritual fitness, which really sets you up and gives you a framework to build out a program physically, mentally, and emotionally. And so that's why I brought the spiritual in. And it's not necessarily believing in any specific religion or any specific, spirituality per se, but it's more of just like giving you a framework in which you can connect to something that is larger than yourself. And I've done so much research into looking at the people who've achieved wonderful things in their lives and greatness, and athletes and, researchers and inventors and businessmen and women. And the commonality between so many of these people is that they really are connecting to something that is bigger than themselves. The Wright brothers, they wanted to learn how to fly. And that was just something that was so much bigger than themselves. And to be able to create something like that, you need to connect to it. And I think there is a spiritual element there. And so I try to teach people how to bring that spiritual element into training their body and their mind. And so, yeah, that's why I think each one of these 4 pillars is so important. And I think I did a pretty good job formulating the book where you can really gain momentum doing little things in your physical body to start, so you can get your nutrition down, your exercise down, and master that. And once you start getting your body physically feeling better and physically performing better, you can start to dive into all these other pillars I just mentioned. You can start to build up that emotional fitness in the same way you stack weight when you're doing physical training. You can do the same thing emotionally, very deliberately. And I teach you how to condition yourself for more happiness. And then, of course, mental fitness, where you condition your mind to start to get into flow on a more consistent basis. So you can have more of those aha moments, experience more creativity, be more engaged in what you're doing. And then, of course, that pillar, as I keep on mentioning, that spiritual fitness is what holds it all together. And I can explain, the common thread that I bring through all the pillars through spiritual fitness if you'd like.
Oh, yes, please. Yeah, because one of the things that I really love about your book is that it, and there are very few books out there that do this, is really to encompass the whole body, mind, and spirit approach. That there's a lot of fitness books out there, there's a lot of diet books out there, but yours is about that whole body, mind, spirit, getting everything in balance so that your whole life is in balance. Because I know that's really what you're about, is balance. So yeah, if you can explain to our listeners that common thread.
Yeah, I mean, really the purpose of this book is to like make people happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that getting 6-pack abs or getting a really flat stomach and really toned arms, that perfect body, that in itself is not like what's going to make you happy. I think the way your body feels when it looks like that is something that plays a lot into happiness. But I think training your body and mind holistically, like you just mentioned, mind, body, emotions, and spirit, is what really brings us that consistent happiness. Because happiness is just an experience you have for a short period of time. So I guess it'd be better to say fulfillment and consistent fulfillment throughout your life. And so how do we get fulfillment? Well, we get fulfillment by creating this blueprint in our mind of what we want and having this clarity about like, okay, what is going to give me lasting fulfillment? And then deciding, okay, well, I probably want my body to look this way. I probably want to feel this certain amount of energy on a daily basis. Maybe there's like something I want to achieve professionally. Maybe there are specific types of relationships that I want to have in my life. All these things are like your blueprint for fulfillment. And you create this blueprint based upon your experiences in life prior. You know what makes you feel joy. And so you can create this blueprint and you kind of stick in whatever you want in this blueprint. And I think the most important step one, which I take you through in the book, is getting crystal clear on what this blueprint looks like and being completely clear on it and being able to write out a paragraph describing exactly what your body looks like, what your life looks like, just everything in complete detail. And then once you have that clarity, getting a clear image in your mind as well. And for some people, it's just hard, but it's really powerful to visualize and see it in your mind. And I'm not going to get like super woo-woo and talk about like manifestation and such, but really just what you're doing is on a neurological level is you're starting to ingrain neural pathways to see this reality as something that could be real. And so in your conscious life, you'll start to notice things that are going to help bring it into your world. And I mean, it's all scientifically proven. None of this stuff, it has to be like really abstract. And so once you have that blueprint and you're clear on it and you know what you want, you can start to reverse engineer this into your identity, right? So who do you want to be? And this is where we start to, this always builds into the emotional and mental and physical pillars, is because when you decide who you want to be, it has to be someone who is aligned with that blueprint. Well, you're only going to have that blueprint, that body, right? If you're someone who has a certain amount of discipline, if you're someone who has a certain amount of wisdom and knowledge, if you're the kind of person that is courageous enough to take those actions every day to take care of yourself, if you're the kind of person that is committed to tracking what works and what does not work. And so you can see, you can really formulate, what kind of person you have to be. I mean, if you want to be fulfilled, like you're probably going to have to be the kind of person that's kind to other people. You're going to have to be the kind of person who has infinite amounts of unconditional love for yourself. And that way it can start to overflow into yourself, into other people's lives as well. So all these things we do are to craft this identity of who we need to be to create this blueprint. And once we understand who we need to be to create this blueprint, we can start to ask ourselves, what daily actions or habits do I need to participate in to make sure that this identity is something that I live out every day and I'm in integrity with. And because I know that if I can be this person, I'm going to create this blueprint in which I want my life to encompass. And so we ask ourselves, what actions would I need to take if I was going to be in integrity with this identity I have? And so you'll probably find out, and these are the things that you start to plug in, and this is all the idiosyncrasies that I teach within the other pillars, but you start to plug in the correct nutrition program, right? So you say, every day, no matter what, like I eat whole foods, I drink a certain amount of water, I, eat a certain amount of greens, I eat a certain amount of calories, like all these things I get crystal clear on, what I do habitually every day. And then you look at your exercise and you say, okay, what do I need to do every day if I'm going to be in integrity with who I said I wanted to be and the blueprint I want to create? Well, I'm probably going to need to be doing a certain amount of exercise, at least like 6 days a week, depending on your goals. Maybe it's 3 to 6 days a week, but you need to be consistent with it. It needs to become habitual. And you just keep on going down the line from everything from like, okay, what kind of sleep habits do I have to have? What kind of morning routine do I need to incorporate if I'm going to make sure that I feel good every day and I have high energy? What kind of standards do I need to hold myself to? Maybe even looking at things that I need to not do. I need to maybe habitually make sure that I'm sticking to not smoking. I'm sticking to, not having more than a glass or two of red wine when I consume alcohol. And so once you start to get all these habits in place, you're pretty much guaranteeing that you're going to be in integrity with the person that you want to be, which is going to create that blueprint that you want for yourself. And of course, this is no panacea, but what I try to do throughout the book is give you the exact tools physically to guarantee that this is going to happen for you. The rest of your life, I'm going to give you the framework to create whatever you want, but you'll have to figure that out throughout your own journey because everyone's different. But I think what the book does is gives you a great opportunity to take that framework I teach you and plug in all the physical elements and emotional elements that need to occur for you to look and feel your best. So that's really the role the spiritual fitness has in it.
So, as you said, for the listeners out there, you really start with that first question of who do you want to be? Who do you really want to be? And what type of life do you really want to live? That's a pretty big question there. And I think a lot of people don't seriously sit down and take the time to even think about what that answer means to them. It's like for the typical small business owner and entrepreneur, is like, what is your definition of success? Like if you never really sit down and think that out, how do you know you've ever, that you've achieved that?
Yeah,
So
it's so true.
yeah, so who do you want to be? What type of life do you want to live? And then I love the blueprint of just mapping out, bit by bit and step by step, all the different key areas of your life so that you can be more healthy physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and that it really is, as you map that out as a blueprint, like it seriously is a blueprint, as if you're building a whole new house for yourself, a whole new body for yourself, really. And just
Yeah.
it's a step-by-step process that you just work through. I love that.
I think something that we're seeing, you see it because you're in this field as well, is that what's most important of all these things is your blueprint, your identity, and then having that framework that you can plug in different actions or habits into. Because let's be honest, like there are many ways to get to your desired outcome. If we're going to talk about like your physical body, for example, I give you a specific protocol that has worked really well for me and my clients, but it's by no means the best way, right? I mean, we look at people who've done all these different types of diets and eaten all these different types of way, engaged in all these different types of exercise. And some of them, like you'll get two, PhD nutritionists telling you two kind of conflicting views on what works best. And both of these things will work great for a lot of people, and they'll have dozens, if not hundreds of thousands of case studies on each side, and there'll even be research on each side. So I think what's really most important is you have that framework so you can stay consistent. That's what it's all about.
So Brandon, we're starting to run low on time here. So I'm going to ask you a question. It's a question that I absolutely hate getting asked when I'm interviewed, but I'm going to ask it anyways. What is the one big takeaway you can give our listeners?
Ah, yes. Well,
You hate that
no,
question too, right?
no. I love it. Because I want people to take action on this interview. If you're listening right now, I don't want you to walk away and be like, oh, that's cool. I want you to walk away with at least one gift. And this one gift is something that I haven't really mentioned in this interview so far, but I think the single most important thing you can do for yourself is start to unabashedly develop unconditional, overflowing self-love. Because when you're able to do this, you stop putting those like bad foods in your body. You stop stagnating. You stop doing all these toxic things to your physical body. You start to treat your body more like a temple. You're not going to meet someone who's like over the top in love with themselves and really not, from some BS like ego place of being egotistical, but I mean like really in love with yourself, and have that person just destroying their body, drinking soda, smoking, binge drinking, doing drugs. Like it doesn't happen. So the number one thing I tell everyone is find a way to love yourself more every single day. And maybe that's writing out a list of all the things you admire about yourself, all the accomplishments you've ever had, but start to build yourself up, because it's so funny. A lot of people have such a hard time really feeling proud of who they are and feeling that self-love. And if you don't feel that, it's really hard for yourself to follow through with different types of healthy living routines that have them be sustainable, because you're always just going to be looking for, solving some of the symptoms of your unhappiness, instead of really just trying to take care of yourself and nurture your body and treat yourself well, because you love yourself and you want nothing but the best for your being. So I went a little bit in the opposite direction of what I've talked about in this episode. I'm not going to give any nutrition tactics or exercise programs to do. I'm going to say start to fall unconditionally in love with yourself.
Amen to that. That's what I got to say. Oh, Brandon, I would love to just keep picking your brain about this subject, but we're out of time at this point. So how can our listeners find out more about you, and where can they find Zen Dude Fitness?
Yes. So you guys can find Zen Dude Fitness on Amazon. Just type in Zen Dude Fitness. The book will come up. You'll notice it. It looks like a book that would be called Zen Dude Fitness. And you can find me over on my website, zendudefitness.com. And if anyone's interested, I've actually put together some of my favorite, just delicious, healthy recipes. I eat everything in bowls. I'm just like a freak like that. I just love making like little delicious bowls with like avocado, chicken, rice, and stuff. So I put together a little recipe book that teaches you how to eat from bowls and guarantee that what you're eating is actually going to be healthy and good for you. So I give that away free at my site, zendudefitness.com, if anyone wants to grab it.
So for the listeners out there, if you're driving in your car or if you're riding on your bike right now, I'll make sure to have those links in the podcast notes so you can find these resources very easily. Brandon, thank you so much for being my special guest today. Again, this has been an awesome interview.
Thank you so much, Carri. It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right, that wraps up this very special episode of the Functional Medicine Radio Show with Brandon Epstein. And I want to thank you, our listeners, for tuning in today. And I'd like to invite you back next week for another episode of the Functional Medicine Radio Show. As always, I'm your host, Dr. Carri Drzyzga, the Functional Medicine Doc. Have a great week, everyone.
You've been listening to the Functional Medicine Radio Show with your host, Dr. Carri Drzyzga, known internationally as the Functional Medicine Doc. Dr. Carri is committed to helping patients find the root cause of their health problems and fixing the cause with natural treatments so they can feel normal again. Dr. Carri is the founder of Functional Medicine Ontario and is the author of the hit book, Reclaim Your Energy and Feel Normal Again. Please tell your friends about the Functional Medicine Radio Show, and we'll see you next week with more from Dr. Carri.